Hey, good morning, everybody. This is John again from Volkswagen Planet. I want to thank everybody for returning to watch the rewiring of the 1972 Super Beetle. This video is going to be part 5 on the ongoing series on how to rewire your Super Beetle. We're going to be dealing with fuse location number 1, and the primary use of the fuse is the turn signal wires. So in this video, we're going to do like we've done in the past. We're going to trace the wires. I actually have a fuse box right in front of me, and I'll be showing you in person live. Besides besides using the diagram, I actually have the parts and pieces right in front of me. So grab a drink, grab your pen and paper, and let's buckle up and let's knock this out. We'll be right back, guys. All right, everybody, we're back. So I got all the pieces ready to show you what's involved in actually rewiring your Super Beetle. And like I said, this fuse is going to be location number 1. And this has no wires coming in the front, and it has 3 wires coming out the back. So let me give you guys a quick inventory of what this fuse does, and we'll get going and show you how to wire this thing up. This right in front of me, or right in front of us, is the right turn signal. On the other side, we got the right rear turn signal lens. We've got a wire, a 2-in-1 wire that I'm going to show you how that comes into play towards the end of when we're going to wire it in the back of the car. I've got a 2-wire connector, which we've seen a couple of times in this video. This is where this is going to come into play. This is an actual OEM, and as you can tell, it has the VW parts and everything else. I don't know if this comes the new kits or not, but this is for people who have just a complete bowl of spaghetti wires under their car, or they got electrical problems. This is what these videos are intended for. And I did cut a couple of small pieces of wire. I'm going to show you what these go to. I've got another one. Now, the wires I used were just something I could grab quick. This is for demonstration use only. The wires in front of you that we're using on this particular lesson are not the proper wires, meaning that this is a gray wire. It could be a black and yellow wire we're going to use. But we'll go on the wiring diagram and become more specific and get really fine-tuned on what this is supposed to be and where it's supposed to go. And just to give you a quick FYI, this fuse up on top here, or this relay, this does not belong in this lesson or video. I just put it there so you guys can get a general idea, because on a 1972 Super Beetle, this has got a bi-level fuse panel, meaning that we've got all the fuses on the bottom, and Volkswagen uses the top rack for the buzzers and relays. So I just use that to basically, so you understand the difference and why I use this particular fuse box. Now, for what you guys remember in the other 2 videos, I told you that the 1972 Super Beetle is a 1-year only, and in this particular instance, I'm going to use this fuse box, which came out of a 1974. They are pretty similar, but they are different in a couple of different ways. And what's different is the front, I guess you could say, mounting clips where the wires would go into. But we'll get into that as time goes on. But this is 100% correct on the first fuse. And what I want to do is I want to give you guys one quick tip. When you look inside the car, you're going to have this. This is the fuse cover. Now, this could be a little bit deceiving. So remember that when we say 1, it's over here, but this is actually like this inside the cabin. So we're still doing number 1. which is going to be right here. This is for the turn signals, or it basically wires up the right side turn signals. So like I said, stay tuned and we're going to go back to the wiring diagram and get this thing wired up. All right, everybody, we're back and we're going to knock this thing out real quick. Let me enlarge the screen up here so we all can see what's going on. So like I said, we're going to be doing fuse 1 tonight, or I should say this morning, because literally all right guys, we're back. So now we're going to go back to the wiring harness like we have been doing in the past videos. And if you want to take a quick look on this particular fuse, there is nothing going on in the front of the fuse. On some cars, on some makes, some models, the fuse box will be a little different. So this is where the variations could be in the Super Beetles or Standard or the 1968. Maybe it's a Carmanguia, maybe it's a bus, but you guys get the idea. So we're going to trace the first wire. Let's put the cursor on this wire right here. So we're going to follow this wire. This wire again is coming excuse me, out of the fuse box. And just because I know where this wire goes, there's going to be two wire looms or casings, or whatever phrase or term you want to use, but there's going to be two casings with wires in them. This particular wire is going to be running to the passenger side of the car, which is the right front, and both of these wiring harness looms will come up and join each other right around the master cylinder reservoir area. So we're going to follow the wire over. Again, this is going to be, if you open your hood and pull your spare tire out, or even look at the spare tire, it's going to be literally on the top of the spare tire on the little clip, or it's going to actually run behind the spare tire if you don't have that clip. So like I said, that wire comes over and it runs into, let me back out this a little bit. Just bear with me, guys. I'll go back up here. We'll zoom in a little bit. We'll catch that wire again. Okay. All right, so we know that this right here, this little H connector looking thing, is literally going to be one of these. This is a 2-wire connector. This is a factory actual piece. The wires go in here. They become females ends. The male ends are in here, and as you can tell, that is a factory piece. So the wire is going to come in there, and it's going to have a little quick wire, and it's going to come up, which is going to be the 58. Let me go back to the actual turn signal itself, and I'll show you where that wire does go. All right, so this is a right front turn signal for a 72 Super Beetle. And if you notice that when we were looking at the harness or the diagram, it has 2 prongs like this. So what I did, let me scroll over here to the wiring fuse box here. Let me get this nice and straight for you guys. So again, I wired all this up, made it nice and clean and simple for everybody. So we have 1 wire. So we'll just use this. Like I said before, it comes off the first fuse, which is going to be the 3 wires. And like I said, these wires that we're showing in the diagram are not the factory color codes. I just use these for demonstration purposes only. So let me find just a wire end. So it's just simple. I just grabbed a wire. I wired it to a wiring clip. But if you go back to the diagram, we know that it's a 22 gauge and it's a gray wire. Now, if you look back at the turn signal switch, let's see if I can get this in a picture here. That wire is going to go on, well, let me make sure. Always have the turn signal flat. So then turn it like this, because that will be the way that we're actually looking at this in the car. And we're going to put it on the outside wire, on the outside post right here. So we're going to turn it over. And we're just going to put the little wiring connector on there. Like so. And that's literally all that goes to the the right front turn signal at the present time. So that is it for that. Again, there's only 3 wires that go to this whole entire situation. And like I said, so we're going to go back to the diagram and we're going to look at the second wire. All right, boys and girls, so we got the first wire knocked out. So let's enlarge this a little bit so we both can follow what's going on here. So we're going to get this back in the picture here a little bit. We're going to put the cursor on the wire in the middle. So we'll scroll down and we're going to follow this one just like we've been doing in all the other videos. So that's showing that it's a 1.0 millimeter wire. If you had to rewire that, that's going to be an 18 gauge. If you notice, it is a gray wire just like the other one if you're using the factory wiring harness. So this one here, we're going to keep scrolling out, keep scrolling out, keep scrolling out. This one is going to go almost to the very end here. So we're going to follow it up. And this is where I was talking about before, guys. This is going to be, let's see if we can get that focus in there a little better. Okay, so that gray wire, let's see if I can find the connector again. Oh, there it is. So that little wire there is the factory wire connector. So does that look familiar? So the gray wire is going to come into that, which is this piece right here. And it's just a simple female adapter going into here. And there's a male section right here. And there'll be another wire coming out. So the wire coming out, we're going to put the cursor on that. And we're just going to follow the wire up. And if you notice, that's going to the left front turn signal. And it's actually going to go to the turn signal itself. And it's going to be wired the exact same way as we just got done doing the right side. But it's going to go on the left pole. It's just the same thing as we just got done doing on the right. So the wires stay in the same position, outside to outside, inside to inside. And literally, guys, it's just that simple. And if you do notice, when the wire does come back out of the adapter there, it is the same color gray. And that wire is a 1.0 millimeter, which we just got done saying that's an 18 gauge in case you did have to rewire it and you wanted to use a factory specs. All right, so now comes the fun, boys and girls, and I do mean fun. This particular last wire is going to run in it's going to have a couple legs, and I'll show you what I mean by a couple different legs. Now this particular wire is the gray just like the other ones, and it's got a red stripe. Now the first two wires went to the left front and the right front turn signals. This particular wire will go to, well, let's just follow it so you guys can see. It's a 0.5 wire, 0.5 millimeters. It's going to be a 22 gauge. So we're going to follow that wire out. Again, it's a gray wire with a red stripe if you guys are using the factory wiring harness. Now this is a really, really long wire. So this particular wire is going to come out the fuse box, but this one here is going to be, if you look right by where your heater channels would go, and you look up right under the master cylinder on the inside of the trunk, you're going to see a big chunk of wires that are going to run, like I said, from underneath the master cylinder. It's going to come actually back into the cabin of the bug, and it's going to go down by the heater channels, which is the door, and it's going to be right on the inside of the heater channels. And this particular wire, I would say, is probably, well, it's 6 feet across. This wire is probably going to be about 10 feet long. So it's going to come out the back of the car, right where all the other chunks of wires are going to come out, right underneath the left part of the rear window. So we're just going to follow this, but like I said, this is going to come out right on the, there's going to be a big chunk of wires that's going to come out, and it's going to do a split. There's going to be a split going to the left rear taillight assembly, but this particular wire is going to go to the right side. So we're going to follow this over to the right side. Again, it's going to be the same color. You see how long that that particular run is. So this is going to go again into. All right, guys, give me just a minute. Let's see if I can find that cover real quick. Oh, there it is. Okay, so this particular 1-into-2 wire situation is going to look like that, but this will be turned around here, so it's going to look like this. It's one wire, as you can see on the left part of the screen, and it's going to go into a 2-prong on the other side. So let's go back to the wiring diagram here. Come on. Okay, so we're going to scroll over. Go right back to where we just got done talking about the 2-into-1. Now, when the top wire on that situation, that's telling me that it's going to go back to being a solid gray wire again, and it's going to be a 1.5 millimeter. So if we had to wire that, if we didn't have the wires, that's going to be a 16 gauge wire coming from the top. And that, let's see if I can find the rear taillight assembly. Here is the actual right rear assembly, and that wire would go onto that top, the top portion of that, the top 2 clips right there. It go to the top outlet. Now this is where this whole wiring situation becomes a little funky. So we know that the gray with the red stripes goes into the Y connector. Now on the other part of this, let's see if I can take this out real quick. Okay, so we just got done talking about this section, the top. So on the bottom part now is what we're going to deal with. If we go and look at the diagram, that's going to be a black with a gray stripe wire, and that's going to be a 0.5 millimeter, again, which is going to be a 22 gauge wire. So that wire is going to come off. It's going to go into another 2 wire connector adapter connector. I'm sorry, like what Volkswagen uses, terms they use. Now, this is going to come out and it's going to go to a black and gray wire still, and it's going to be a 0.5 millimeter, and it's going to be a 22 gauge, just like as it did previous to this. So what this is showing here is the tail light, which goes right above your license plate. It's we're only going to deal with the top wire right now, but both these wires connecting to this H plug or this 2-wire connector. So that's why I wanted to show you about that. Now the other wire, we're going to pick that up. I guess we could just do that right now since we're right there. Okay, so we're going to wire the, I don't have the taillight assembly, but it's just another outlet, light plug. So it's just going to be the same as the lights. The top one's going to be the black with the gray stripe. They're both 22 gauge wires. They're both going to connect into the H connector. And then from the wire there, that's going to be a solid brown wire, and that particular wire is going to mount it's going to ground itself onto the, let's see here, onto the light assembly back there. There you go. Onto, I should say ground, but it's going to go onto the very bottom light there, the very bottom plug there. I'm sorry, it's not going to go on there. That's going to go to the ground. It's going to ground itself on the actual casing itself. So we're going to go back up. Now you see why I wanted to go fuse by fuse, because we see how crazy this thing can get, and it's not all one fuse takes care of one situation. So one fuse may